Bills Pod Squad is brought to you by the New York Lottery. Play the limited edition New York Series scratch-off game and you could catch up to $1 million. You must be 18 years or older to purchase a lottery ticket. On this week's episode, we sit down with Cardinals wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald, where he tells us which Bills Hall of Famers he idolizes. He discusses his relationship with the current Buffalo Bills and how he's playing a major role in advocating for change in America. Kim and I then give our favorite NFL personalities, and we look ahead to the Bills game Sunday in Arizona. Welcome into Bills Pod Squad, presented by the New York Lottery, a podcast that touches every corner of the NFL and gets into who the players are without their helmet and pads on. Maddy Glab and Bills owner and president Kim Pegula here as your host. We've got Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald on with us to give us a blueprint of how to beat the Cardinals. Just kidding. He gets into his fandom of former Bills players and what it's like being a 17-year vet in the NFL. It's our 10th episode, Kim. They haven't kicked us off yet.
No.
Can you believe it?
Still glad to be here, just like the league. Still happy to be playing games and still happy to be doing podcasts.
Definitely. Kim, before we get into the interview with Larry, we've got to chat about this 44-34 Seahawks win. The first thing I want to know is what it was like in that suite, because I saw a picture that was tweeted out. It was like a high five against the glass. So I was like, oh my gosh, the energy had to have been amazing in the suite. So give me all the details.
Yeah, you know what? It was so interesting. Terry said to me that morning, of course, I'm always a nervous Nelly, no matter who we're playing, right? Or what our record is. But Terry said to me this morning, I'm not really worried about this game. And I'm like, what? Why not, right? So, and then Dan Morgan said the same thing to me when we were in the suite. He's like, you know what? I feel a calm. And he's also another one that gets very uptight and nervous before a game. And he's like, I don't know. I just feel like there's a calm to this game. And so, I mean, their intuition was certainly right. And it was so much fun when you put up that many points. A lot of cheering, a lot of high fives going on. Joe Shane was not in the testing protocol, and so he had to be in the suite next to us, socially distanced, but a lot of high fives going on through the glass. So it was a lot of fun to be there.
Yeah, I would say I'm probably on your side going into this game. I was like, oh my gosh, the Bills are going to have to play their best game yet. Like all three phases, like you talked about last week, are going to have to align.
Maddy, I think they were listening to me. I think I actually, they may have listened to me because that's what happened. All three phases really contributed equally to this win. It was great to see that big return by Andre Roberts, to just set the tone for the game. Our defense showed up, just really sacking and, causing 4 turnovers with Russell Wilson. And then our offense just putting up the points. So I don't know. I may have a future in coaching. I don't know.
I know. Maybe after your time as an owner and president, you could get onto the football field and start your coaching. But I completely agree. Like the offense blowing up for 44 points. Josh Allen had so many big connections to his wide receivers of 20 or more yards. So it was great to see the offense get going in the air again. I mean, we haven't really seen that since the beginning of the season. And I think it's because of how defenses have really played the Bills, making them run the ball, making them string together like we've talked about before, those long drives. And after the game, the Seahawks coach, Pete Carroll, said, we had a great game plan if they were going to go to the run game. And it was like, dang, did they not have a game plan for the Bills to air it out? Because you have Josh Allen, you have Stephon Diggs, you have Cole Beasley, John Brown, Gabriel Davis. Like they had to have had some sort of game plan for the air attack that happened, but it didn't really seem like it. So I'm just so proud of the way they were able to put that game together. Really proud of the coaches of the game plan, because it seemed like Leslie Frazier and Brian Daboll just really dialed up the perfect game plan on offense and defense. Of course, the Seahawks scored a lot of points, but the way the defense was so aggressive gave me so much hope for the next few games coming up.
Like I said, it was a lot of fun way to really kind of start the second half. And at 7-2, I heard we have not had that record since 1993.
1993.
And that year is significant because that's when Terry and I got married. So when I heard 93, I was like, so Terry and I have been married 27 years. We got married in 93. So I was really happy that, that we were 7-2 since 1993. a lot of good meaning, a lot of good memories for me with that stat. So, but as you know, there's another game this week. So enjoy Sunday's game, but back to work.
Yeah, it's not like there's an easy opponent ahead for us because each week presents its different difficulties, its different challenges, no matter if a team has one loss or two, or one win or two wins, two losses or five losses. It's just going to be tough because the NFL, it's not an easy league. We've got a top three this week. And since we have Larry Fitzgerald on, many people know him for his play on and off the field because he's been in the year for 17 years. I can't believe he's been in the league for that long. So we figured we would do a top three on our favorite NFL personalities, former and current. So Kim, would you like to go first?
Let's see. So just NFL personalities in general. Well,
Yes.
I mean, I'll go with the obvious, Larry Fitzgerald. So just happy that we were able to talk to him today. I will say that, I remember the first time I met him, I was like, hey, my stepdaughter went to school with you. So my stepdaughter went to Pitt. At the same time, Larry was there playing. And so I was a total fan the first time I met him. And you know what? Tremendous person, obviously, like you said, off the field, on the field, the amount of work that he's put in, the kind of person he is, and he just so represents our league so well. And he's been a mentor to so many of our players, just, not our players, but players just in general, as well as building, like we talk about, building those relationships within the league, with other owners, and just, he's just been a tremendous person that I think just really represents athletes really well, the type of people that they are, how they contribute to our society. So I would say he's probably one of my top personalities.
Yeah, and I feel like you can definitely hear that and understand that from the interview that we do with him. So can't wait till everybody listens to that because it's just evident the type of athlete he is, the type of person he is, and how that's affected so many different players in the NFL and outside of the NFL. I'm going to go just personality-wise for my first pick, and it's one of our Buffalo Bills players. I'm just going to play favorites because I think this pick is pretty obvious. It's got to be Tre'Davious White. I mean, I think he is one of the best NFL personalities. Kay Adams told us when we had her on that Tre'Davious White was her favorite NFL personality. So I'm just going to piggyback off that and say I completely agree. He is a national treasure. He is so funny. The love that he has for his family, his children, is just amazing. The love that he has for the game, for football as a whole. Just when you talk to him, I feel like you just leave the conversation feeling like a happier person because Trey brings that type of energy to any situation in life and will leave you laughing after any conversation.
And he's a heck of a football player on top of all that.
Yep, one of the best, if not, I'll say the best cornerback in the NFL. Good to see him get an interception last week against the Seahawks, and just so happy that he's on our team. Like I say about so many players on this current team. All right, who's number two for you?
Well, okay, so I will have to say, I just don't want to show any favoritism, so I'm not going to pick anybody that is on our current roster. So I don't want to get in trouble and have any bad feelings. So having said that, though, I will pick someone who used to be on our team, and I do them in a tandem because they played on the team at the same time. So I'm going to say that Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas, another personality, listen, after the career that they both have had, they could have lived anywhere in the world, and they chose to stay right here in Buffalo. And to me, that says so much about who they are, what football has meant to them, what the community means to them, and then what we mean to them. So as a team, and I know how well they represent our city, our beloved city of Buffalo, to the rest of the world in all their endeavors they've done since they left the game, and just always such a positive influence. And I just think it's just great to see when you've got players who have accomplished what they have accomplished, stay in your community and continue for years and years after to be a part of that.
Yeah, I've only known Thurman and Jim for a short time since I've been with the Bills for just over a year and a half now. But I feel like in that short time, it's been so great to get to know them, and the interviews that I've done with them, or just seeing them do other interviews, seeing that what they do in the community. So it's great to have them as a part of our Bills Legends family, because I think they're a great example for current and former players as to how you should operate as an NFL player, and just after life of being an NFL player, just kind of being a great example for so many people. Number two on my list is going to go to a player who I know from my Tennessee days. So he's a current Saint, Alvin Kamara. Many people know him for his play on the field in the NFL. He's a great running back, a great pass catching running back. And I got to cover him for a couple of years when I worked at Tennessee. So he was just a great player to get to work with, had a lot of energy, just like Tre'Davious White, always was a light in any room that you walked into, always made you laugh. But like you said about Tre'Davious, just also a great player in the NFL. So he's my second personality. My list is people and players that I know. Since I haven't been in the NFL for too long, I'm just a newbie here in this league still, so I figured I'd pick players that I know. Who's number three?
Certainly a great connection to have and to know personally. So I would say, so my third personality, I would say, is John Madden. So I know John hasn't been around the game as of recently, but I would just say that someone, as you grow up as a football fan, he just made the game so fun. He made the game simple, easy to understand. He made it fun. He brought the game into your living room. Back then, that's me back then when we only had one TV in the family. And so as you watch the game, but I would just say him. And of course, the inspiration behind Madden, the e-game. So, I mean, how can you not love someone who has had such a huge positive impact on the game of football? And one other tidbit I would say is that, it's very wide known that he drives everywhere that he goes. And my husband is a driver beyond, and he flies now because we just don't have time. But I will say there were many years where he would not get on a plane, and we drove everywhere. And so I felt a little, kinship with John Madden, knowing his love of driving and not flying, because I and Terry, we had the same love of driving.
That is a very interesting tidbit and a good pick for a third pick in our top three. My third one is going to go to two players, and it's based off of the work that they did this off season in the community. One of our players, Josh Norman and Demario Davis, who's also on the Saints. So I have all Saints and Bills players. I don't know what that says about me. But just to see Josh and Demario pair up together this off season, when we saw so many protests going on, protesting racial injustice after the killing of George Floyd, they got together and they did a 5-city tour in 6 days, where they went to different cities and got to meet with police members, got to meet with local officials, local people in the government, to try and mend those relationships, to try and build those relationships, to try and get insight of, how do you govern here? What is your relationship like from a police officer standpoint with your community? How can it be better? So I thought that was really cool that they just got into the community, tried to do some work on their own. They were motivated by what we saw going on in the country and what we're still seeing in our country today. And I got to go to the press conference that they held and that they were a part of when they were in Buffalo, because that's one of the cities that they picked. And I quickly got to talk with Josh and Demario, and I just thought it was so inspiring. And I think that's one thing that's really cool about NFL players, is their ability to inspire people outside of the sport, and inspire people just to be better humans, to fight for what's right, and to just want, the best and the most out of this world and out of, the people that we deal with on a daily basis. So I just thought that was really cool. I know they're really involved in in the community of which they play for, but also the community of where they're from and beyond.
Yeah, you know, the one thing I did love about Josh Norman when he came in, because he came in as a humanitarian before he came in as a football player. So I just thought it was great for him to have that impact and that involvement before he had even, we had signed him as a player, but the season hadn't even started. And the first thing he did was really try to understand our community and the issues that we were dealing with that a lot of other communities were dealing with at the same time. So good pick.
Yeah, definitely. He's not even here as a true player, and we haven't even started practices yet. And he's at a press conference with the mayor, Byron Brown. I'm like, who is this player? What is he doing? This is so dang cool. So excited that he's a part of our team. Hopefully he gets healthier and we get to see more of him on the field as the season goes forward. But that segment was brought to you by Safelite. Safelite is also this week's game sponsor, the official auto glass repair and replacement partner of the Buffalo Bills. And we've got to talk about our fan box t-shirt this week. It's a Thanksgiving themed shirt. It's Dion Dawkins shirt. So I'm going to hold it up on the camera. It says feast mode. So it looks like you got a Billy Buffalo here with some food, some Thanksgiving dishes. And it's
I
black,
wonder how much
blue,
Dion
red.
eats on Thanksgiving. What do you think? 5 pounds of turkey? I don't know.
I would have to say a lot. Last year, we did a video with the offensive line. We did like a Thanksgiving draft where they had to pick their favorite Thanksgiving dishes. And I had the best time doing it because these offensive linemen argued over what was the best sides, what was the best main dish. So just from that conversation and from that Thanksgiving draft that I did with them, it was obvious to see how much food they love to eat and that they have to eat because they're offensive linemen.
I would love to have to eat food. I would love it. That would be, I wish I could be an offensive lineman.
Me too. Maybe we should try out for that later in life. See how far we can get. But that fan box t-shirt, Dion Dawkins Thanksgiving themed shirt is available at billsfanbox.com until Sunday, November 29th at 11:59 p.m. So we're giving you guys a lot of time to buy this before Thanksgiving. You can order by November 14th and fans will receive their box before Thanksgiving. So make sure you do that. You've got a couple days to do that before November 14th hits, and all proceeds will benefit Independent Health Foundation. So it's a good cause. So you should definitely get your t-shirt. It's a cool design.
Well, and make sure you get a size up. So if you have it for Thanksgiving, right? Like get a size bigger so that you can be comfortable and expand on Thanksgiving. That's just my helpful tip.
It can be your after dinner, your after lunch shirt that you put on right before you sit on the couch and watch some football. I wish we were playing on Thanksgiving again. That was so fun.
That was such a great game, such a great memory. I forgot that was just almost a year ago. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Some teams are lucky. They get to play on Thanksgiving quite a bit. I think the Bills should be on that rotational schedule.
Our ratings did so well for that game last year. So, and it was a great win. I think it was, I like to think that at least that year, it was kind of Josh's, for one of his first coming out parties. One of his first coming out games, I should say.
Yeah, definitely look at that game as one of his coming out games against the Dallas Cowboys. Man, it was such a fun game to watch, fun game to be a part of. The Buffalo Bills are proud to partner with National Grid in promoting the Safety First initiative, where every time a Bills safety makes a tackle at home, National Grid will donate $50 to the 100 Club of Buffalo in support of first responders and their families. National Grid reminds you to put safety first in your home with this easy tip. Call Dig Safe at 811 before you dig in your yard to check for underground power lines and pipes. All right, here's our interview with Larry Fitzgerald, the 17-year NFL vet who is still going at it. Larry, thanks so much for taking the time to be on with us, a veteran like yourself who's seen the NFL through so many different years. We're excited to talk to you and to hear about your story on and off the football field. So first,
I just want to ask you about the matchup. The Buffalo Bills taking on the Arizona Cardinals. This weekend, the Bills are headed out to your turf for the game. It's going to be a good matchup. Two great offenses that are going to be on the field. And Larry, I feel like you've seen this Bills team probably evolve more than other people have since you've been in the league now for 17 years. I guess, what have you seen on film from them in this week studying them that makes them a little bit different maybe than the Buffalo Bills that a lot of people know?
Well, first of all, I'm a little disappointed. I was looking forward to playing this game in Mexico City. We were going to play it down south. It'd have been a lot of fun. Probably had a few more Cardinal fans down there. But it's I'm glad that we're able to still be able to playing a wonderful team. Coach McDermott's done a great job of putting together a really well-rounded football team. Offensively, defensively, special teams. Obviously, offensively, you saw what they did. You saw what you guys did last week against Seattle, scoring 44 points is pretty spectacular. We played Seattle the week before, so we know what kind of football team they beat, and we're gonna have our hands full. They caused a couple turnovers. Able to make a couple interceptions, and obviously special teams, dealing with one of my closest friends in the world, Andre Roberts. He had a big kickoff, to open up the game, and he's been playing spectacular. So it's been great to see him, continue to show his dominance, in all phases of the kicking game. So we're going to have our hands full, but we're looking forward to the matchup.
There's definitely some overlap with the Bills and the Cardinals and players, Andre Roberts, John Brown. But first, before we get into that, I want to hear the story about how you two know each other, because our listeners might be like, why is an opposing player on the podcast this week? So Larry, Kim, tell me how you guys know each other when that first introduction was made.
So we got a chance. I got a chance to meet Miss Pegula. It was at an NFL sponsored event. We were in San Antonio, Texas, and Commissioner Goodell was also there. We were doing a panel there with a lot of Pizza Hut vendors,
a lot of pizza
around the country, and I got a chance to spend some time with her, and I was thoroughly impressed with just everything. I read about her and how involved she was with the team, but never got a chance to meet her and be able to spend some time with her. I was just blown away by, just her expertise in so many different areas, not just football, but from the marketing and community. And I mean, I was blown away. And, so I was truly
honored. Larry, stop. Stop. I will say that one of my favorite meetings with Larry was we didn't exactly meet then, but he spoke at an owners meeting. So we spoke at one of our annual owners meeting, the big one that we have in March usually. And he came up there, and I will tell you, it is not easy to stand up and speak to a room full of league officials, of all ownership, their families, all the coaches, everyone was there. And Larry stood up and has some just wonderful words to say about the responsibility and about how much ownership and clubs mean to players and his experience with that. And I know that has always stayed with me as well as my husband when you spoke at that time. If you remember that, I'm sure you were super nervous during that time, but it was an awesome words that you said and really resonated with myself.
Oh, well, I mean, it was a great opportunity for me. I have a lot of respect for the league and in particular the owners and how much they give back. I mean, I've been here with the same organization for 17 years now, and that would never have been possible if it wasn't for the Bidwell family, believing in me and giving me a chance to come here and earn a living and be a part of this great community that I've been a part of for 17 years. So it's a relationship that, it's built over time, but just when I was 20 years old and I got drafted here, I didn't know a thing. And I leaned on Michael heavily, for just where to live. I'm looking for a housekeeper. I'm looking for a landscaper. All these questions that I didn't know. I didn't have any relationship with anybody, and I leaned on him, and he helped me every single step of the way. And then as I got older, the relationship just continued to develop, and he played an integral role in my maturation process. And he's the sole reason I've been able to be here for 17 years. And so, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that relationship that I have with him and just how much, the ownership means to players, and being able to help them off the field as well is important.
Well, and you have wonderful relationships, not just with Mike Bidwell, but also with other owners around the league. I got a phone call one night, and it's just hanging out over the summer and the off season, and say, hey, come over. We got someone here for you. And I was in my pajamas actually when that call came, and I was like, I can't go. But then Larry was on the phone just chilling with one of the owners, and that's just so great to see, because we always kind of get that perception of there's kind of the players versus owners. There's a barrier there, but Larry for sure does not exemplify that. He is first and foremost just a relationship builder, and that's what I love about him. So knowing that you think ownership is very important, I just want to ask you, Isaiah McKenzie, John Brown, Gabriel Davis, I know you've been a big influence on him. Got any inside information for me to help me develop my relationship with those players?
Well, I mean, first of all, all those men that you mentioned are outstanding human beings, and I'm pretty sure they're probably nervous to have any interaction, with you. I mean, you being their boss, signing their checks and all. But if you got to know them, you will love them. Their personalities are all infectious. And I haven't got a chance to meet Gabriel, but just in terms of what I've heard about him, he just seems like a really, really astute young man. And I'm looking forward to being able to shake his hand and congratulating him on his career and his success thus far. And if anything I can do to help him continue to improve, I would be more than happy to do that. But like Andre Roberts came in the league in 2010, and we've been, thick as thieves. We traveled the world together. We've been to 6 different continents, played golf all over the place. And, he's seen my kids born. I've seen his son born and spent so much time together. And John Brown, he was drafted here in 2014, and just love the way he works and the way he goes about his business. I'm just blown away by his mental fortitude, the things he's been able to overcome, losing his brother to a tragic homicide, and the adversity he had to go through to even be able to get to Pittsburgh State, and, just going to the neighborhood where he grew up from. I mean, there's not many guys that are coming out of there and being successful, not only being a success on the football field, but being a role model in his community, being a wonderful father to his daughter. And, I love just to see guys be able to grow into the people that they are. And, I'm elated for them. I'm looking forward to just giving those boys some hugs, man, and telling them I love them. And I'm just happy for them.
Well, maybe you can go a little bit easy on them since you love them so much.
No. You know what, Ms. Pegula, honestly, when you play against your friends, you want to beat them more than anything, because you talk to them, you spend time with them. So, if you lose to them, you got to hear about it for the rest of the year. And, it's like you wanted to be able to get the bragging rights. The love is going to be the love, but it's always nice to be like, Dre, you didn't have any yards on the kickoff for the punt team. We shut you down. Like that. That's that friendly banter you want to be able to have with your boys.
Larry,
what's it like, you being a veteran on your team with having a young, I know he's not a rookie, but having a young quarterback in Kyler Murray? You've seen a lot come and go over there in Arizona, so, how have you seen that position evolve since the time you've been in the league?
Well, so interesting enough for me, the other great quarterbacks that I played with, Carson Palmer and Kurt Warner, were always older than me. And so they always were able to impart wisdom and be able to teach me the ropes, right, on and off the field. And so I learned a lot. I got Kurt for 5 years, and I was 21 when he got here. I didn't know anything. He taught me how to practice, taught me how to work. I watched how he did his work in the community. I was just silently always watching him. He'd invite me over for Thanksgiving when my family wasn't here, and same thing with Carson. So I learned a lot with him. So this is an exact flip verse, and I remember those guys were never pushy with how they taught or how they kind of just helped me. They just showed me a great example, and then I have a choice to either follow it or go on my own route. But I saw those guys were having success. They had beautiful families, wives and kids, and they did things the right way. And I said, I want to be able to do things that way. And I'm very cautious not to try to push my ways or my philosophies on Kyler. I want him to be his own man. And I think he's a wonderful, wonderful young man. I mean, he's got 2 great parents. I mean, he's got 1 girlfriend. He's got 1 car, he didn't buy some huge mansion. He's got a nice, 2-bedroom condo. I mean, he's very sensible in everything that he does. And so, his families and the people around him have done a great job. And he's gotten so much better in terms of his football and his knowledge and his relationship with his teammates. He's really growing. And so, he's coming along. He's a really exciting young player. The sky's the limit. And, he knows he's got a big brother in me that, anytime he has anything he ever needs on or off the field, he can always rely on me. And he knows that. So, I don't want to be pushy and tell him what to do. I just want him to to be as special as he possibly can. And if anything I can do to assist him, I'm there.
Larry, you're touching on players who have affected you, who you've learned from, and then passing it down to other players. I mean, we mentioned Andre, John, and Gabriel, who have learned so much from you. And you hear about coaching trees all the time in the NFL, but I think there's like a player tree, or at least a wide receiver tree with you, and that you've touched so many players, probably more than you even know. I mean, here's Gabriel Davis, a rookie who comes to the league, and he says, I wanted to play NFL because I was watching TV one day and saw Larry Fitzgerald in a game, and that's when I knew I wanted to be an NFL player. Have you had those interactions where maybe a player comes up to you and is like, man, you don't know how much you've impacted my career, or how much has been passed down from you through another player like John Brown? And what are those instances like when you hear about that?
Oh, Maddie, I can't even tell you. Like my dad has been a journalist in the Twin Cities area now for 43 years now. And so I grew up in sports. I was a ball boy for the Minnesota Vikings, and getting the chance to grow up. And some of the players that I really idolized were actually some of the Buffalo Bills, and some of the guys I have relationships with now. I mean, I talked to Jim Kelly just last week. I love Mr. Kelly. He's one of the toughest men I've ever been around. And, I relish the relationship that I've been able to build with him. And Thurman Thomas, I'm very close with. Bruce Smith, I'm really close with. Andre Reed, James Lofton. All these guys have been tremendous mentors for me over the course of my career. I can always call on them and ask them, text message them. I'm in Virginia, Bruce, where's the golf course? Or can you show me some of the development stuff that you're working on? And, I can always ask these guys those type of questions, and they're always there available for me. But yeah, I was a quiet Bills fan growing up, Pete Metzelaar and Kenneth Davis. And, I got a chance to Coach Frank Wright coach me, here for the Arizona Cardinals for a year. Cornelius Bennett and all those guys. I was a big Bills fan. I loved watching them. I loved the way they competed, and so those guys have always been fun for me to watch. I hope that they play really, really well next week.
Well, okay, so Larry, so you are also an owner.
Yes.
Part owner of the Phoenix Sun.
Uh-huh.
So I just want to give you an opportunity from one owner to another. Any questions, being a new owner that you might have that I might be able to impart on you?
Well, Ms. Pegula, it's a big difference between being a minority owner and a majority owner. You know what I mean?
Okay, well, I'm actually half and half with my husband. So I'm only at the 50% mark, but I'm sure anything you've learned being that minority owner, and just even from participating in another league, I've learned a lot. I believe me, in the almost 6 years that we've been owners. So anything that you've learned in your time so far?
Yeah, I've learned a great deal. Basketball is a lot different from football. I mean, when you're dealing with 53 players and just the massive scale of an NFL organization and team is much different in basketball. And it's been really cool because I've developed really strong relationships with DeAndre Ayton and Cam Johnson and Devin Booker, or Kelly Oubre, who are some of our young star players. And I mean, they're really young guys. They, Devin, he's an all-star and a max player already, and he's only 23 years old. And to be able to just try to impart a little bit of the wisdom, just help them out where you can is really fun. And you're able to really have some really close personal relationships with them, because there's not a lot of guys, And so, for instance, yesterday we just opened up our new practice facility yesterday, and I brought a couple of my teammates over there to shoot around. And so it's really exciting. We're doing a huge renovation on our arena downtown Phoenix. And so, I mean, it's really cool to be able to be part of it, and to be able to do it here in the city that I plan to live in and raise my family, and is even make it more exciting. So it's great to be able to have, two organizations that you're rooting really hard for every single week. One you're still working for, and the other one that you're heavily involved in.
Are you getting to learn anything about being in the business of sports?
Yes.
So things off the court, off the field, as it relates at the league level?
Not so much on the league level, but, from the scouting meetings, sitting in the marketing department, going out and meeting with different sponsors that we're targeting, So I'm just trying to learn everything about the business. I think it's really cool, especially the community relations, how you can engage people, the Hispanic community, African-American community, and everybody loves sports. And that's one thing that you can always rally around, and it brings people together. I know you've seen so much of the divisive nature that, politics has brought into our country over the last few years. And sports is one of those few things that, you can look on the basketball court or football field. You don't say, look at that black receiver making that catch, or look at that white guy blocking the court. Like, those thoughts never come to your mind. You just watching the team that you're pulling for those guys, and you see everybody working together from different socioeconomic backgrounds, different races, different creeds. I mean, it's amazing. That's what sports brings, and I love to be a part of that.
I think sports allows you to touch so many lives too. It opens doors for the athletes, but you in turn can open doors for other people too. And you've been really involved in the community during your time as an NFL player with the Larry Fitzgerald First Down Fund, the Carol Fitzgerald Memorial Fund, also helping with financial support for our military and visiting soldiers. Why do all of this work off of the football field? Why do you want to impact the community so much?
Well, tomorrow being Veterans Day, it's always been important for me and my family. My grandfather served in the Army. He was a first lieutenant in the Army. Actually fought in Korea. Received a Purple Heart for his service. He was hurt pretty bad over there. And I have an aunt and an uncle who are both currently in the Army. One's a colonel, one's a lieutenant colonel. I have a young cousin who just was promoted to a major about a month ago down in Kentucky. So we have a long history of people who have served our country, and there's no way we would be able to do the things and have the freedoms that we have as Americans if it wasn't for their sacrifice. And I see that every day, and I'm so very thankful that I can say that I have family that have been integral in keeping our freedoms here. It's been wonderful. And to touch a little bit about my charity and my community work, my mom was really heavily involved in the nonprofit world in Minneapolis area. I remember, passing out pamphlets with her and going door to door, doing community outreach and, really being a part of that. And so it's something that I always wanted to do. I said, as soon as I have an opportunity to be able to make a positive impact and have a influence and a platform, I was going to try to utilize it and do it in the right way. And fortunately, through the help of a lot of people and a lot of sponsors, we've done some good things, and I continue to hope that we can continue to raise the bar, because at no point like now have we needed it. And, initiative I've been working really hard over the last 5 years is, computer literacy. I think technology is one of those things. I think even now with COVID-19, I think things have even ramped up even more so. I mean, there's so many kids that are still not in school, and Microsoft is a team with me for the last few years of donating computer labs to schools that were in need. And now it's been so good now with some of these young people not being able to go to school, be able to log in and be able to be attentive in class and work from home has been great. And so I'm really happy where we are, and I hope to continue to be able to go in that direction.
Yeah. And Larry, you're from Minnesota, and you had an opportunity to go back there the past few months when there was a lot of social unrest and all the victims that you were able to kind of just see firsthand of what is going on in Minnesota, which wasn't just Minnesota, but what's been going on in the whole country. And you penned a wonderful article in the New York Times, and was just very, really spoke to me, because you talked about hearing everybody. Just have you, since you wrote that article, do you feel like we've made any progress?
Yeah, I really do, Ms. Pegula. We definitely made progress. I mean, you see the record number of voters that turned out this year. 30-40% more than ever has happened. I mean, that speaks volumes about where we are as a country. Our young people are taking a true interest in the well-being of our nation, and that's where you want to be. I mean, we've had a long history of courageous people that have come from America that stand for the right things, and those people are letting their voices be heard. Where George Floyd was murdered was literally about a quarter mile from where I was raised and born. I walked those same street corner 30 or 40 times with my mom, going grocery shopping and just being out in the community. So it really resonated, it hit home for me. And when I got back, people were texting me and asking me what my comments were, and I wasn't making any comments. I didn't want to. I wanted to get back home and really feel the pulse of the community, talk to some of our city councilmen, be able to get to some of the local places that I've been going to, the Boys and Girls Club, different organizations where people are on the ground. They could really give me the pulse and understanding of what it was really like. I got a chance to talk to them. And then I went to spend about a day and really started pinning down some of the things that I was thinking about and just put it on paper. And New York Times gave me the ability to push it out publicly. And, I'm really thankful that they gave me the opportunity to speak up.
I think it was very important that, like we talked about, football has given you a platform, and many of our athletes platforms to talk about real issues that are affecting all of us, not just as a player, but as human beings. And I'm with you. I think there has been some change. Of course, there's a lot more to do, but really hopeful that, you know, as we continue on, pandemic or not, that we are moving in the right directions. And I know from our players on our team and our staff that, you know, we're also committed to doing much more to end racism, and to provide, like I said, a listening voice to all voices.
Yeah.
Larry, thank you so much for the time. We love that there's players like you in the NFL who anyone can look up to. Kim and I can look up to. Great to get to talk to you. I want to wish
Wait,
you
Maddy,
luck.
I got one question though. I got to ask.
Okay, we're
So are we going to
close
see
on
you
our
next?
time.
Are we going to see you next year or not? Retirement? Retirement? I mean, I got to ask the question.
Well, Ms. Pegula, I don't ever make a decision during the season. I always try to give myself a little bit of time after the year, see how I'm feeling, how the season went, to
Smart man.
to make a decision.
Smart man.
Yeah. Are you coming to the game this weekend?
Of course, I will be there.
Okay. I look forward to seeing you guys.
I'll see you on the field.
Okay. Maddy, nice meeting you, Maddy.
On this podcast.
All right. Go Cardinals.
Thanks, Larry.
All right.
Go
Bye.
Bills.
Larry,
All right,
see you.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
The New York Lottery is giving away $50 worth of the new limited edition New York Series scratch-off tickets with a chance to win up to $1 million to one of our lucky listeners each week. Visit buffalobills.com/New York Lottery or click on the link in the podcast description to enter now. Kim, another thing that we have to bring up is the outpouring support that Bills Mafia is as a fan base. I continue to be surprised by their generosity, by how much they care for our players, for our community. And the reason why we're talking about this is, for all of our listeners who may not know, unfortunately, Sean McDermott announced after the Seahawks game that Josh Allen's grandma passed away over the weekend. Sean McDermott, said, Josh, do you want to play in this? You don't need to. And Josh, of course, decided to play and went on to have such a great game. But what happened after by our fan base was truly amazing. They decided to start donating to Oishei Children's Hospital on behalf of Josh's grandma. And as of 30 minutes ago, the number is up to $250,000 in donations since Sunday night. Such a short period of time, but so crazy, so amazing to think of the way that this Bills Mafia fan base cares for their players, cares for the community, and just the support they have in general. When I saw the number reached $100,000 yesterday, I was brought to tears by it, and to think it's already up to $250,000, just wow.
Yeah, no, that is such a great story. Our fan base is giving back to Josh, as well as because Josh has really given back to our community as well. And I think it's just that respect and appreciation. And what I love about it is listen, there are always so many, good causes that we all can do more with. But things like this is so grassroots, so fan inspired. There was no campaign, right? There was no kind of just planning that this was an organizational effort. This was truly for the love of Josh and what he means to this community, and inspired by the fans. And that just says a whole lot about our community. And this isn't the first time, when Andy Dalton came here, when he played the Bengals after we made the playoffs for so long with the playoff drought, they donated to his foundation. So we have a history of our community giving back. And it just, you get to understand what football means to the people of Buffalo and the fan base around the country. So I just love to hear about this thing. And I would say I'm not surprised.
I would love to say I'm not surprised. Maybe I'll say that next year. I'm still being surprised by just how cool this fan base is. Just with other fan bases that I've interacted with and gotten to know, nothing is like Bills Mafia. So,
and I love they're giving in $17 increments. Yeah. I love that.
is so clever,
Yeah.
so great. We hope the donations continue and are really just proud to be from Buffalo with the way that this fan base continues to support our players in the community. And we've also got to look ahead to week 10. Kim, we're 1 week away from the bye week. We got an early bye week last year. This year, the bye week, I think, is
Late.
coming at the perfect time, and that is a late bye week. But it's time to heal up for really the end of the season with some of the players who have injuries, who could use a week off, who could use a week of rehab. But I think we're still pretty healthy going into this Cardinals game. And the NFC West team, again, we're coming off of a win against the Seahawks, an NFC West team. So what are some of your first thoughts about this matchup? I feel like we just knocked off a team with a really high-powered offense, and here we are entering into another game with a quarterback who can run it and throw it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, when we played Seattle with Russell Wilson, a veteran quarterback who has been in big games and who has had a storied career already. And then we're going to be entering someone who's new. And so it's kind of a new, how does he play? Kind of just obviously with the record that they have, he's doing well with the numbers that he's putting up, both in passing and in rushing, certainly can be dangerous. And what I love about this is, again, it's the future of the league, right? Here's someone who is young, and you've got a young coach in Cliff Kingsbury who came from a college setting. And so what does this mean to the league? So you kind of are starting to see the evolution of the game around the other clubs. And so this is just going to be another matchup, another high offense. It's just going to be looking a little bit different. So looking forward to what Leslie Frazier and Brian Dable and coach have in store for us.
Yeah, speaking of Leslie Frazier, when he was asked about this matchup, when he spoke to media on Monday, he said that this game is really different to game plan for because of the way that their coach comes from college and their quarterback is not far removed from college. He said a lot of what they use is from college, and you don't see it every single week in the NFL, but it's definitely something that's becoming more and more popular just in the way that younger quarterbacks are used in the run game. Right now, Kyler Murray ranks first among quarterbacks in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. Kind of is similar with the numbers that he's putting up as to Josh from his first and second season. Of course, Josh isn't really rushing as much this year because of the weapons that he has on the outside, but it'll be an interesting matchup. Tre'Davious White gets to go against DeAndre Hopkins for the third time, so that's another exciting part about this game.
Well, yeah, no, I am just looking forward to it. Like I said, it is hard to win week to week. With the bye week coming up soon, I just crossed my fingers, just one more game down, and then we get that kind of break, and we get the Thanksgiving, and then hit the road running after that into hopefully what we will see is a post season playoff run.
I mean, going into the bye week 8-2 sounds pretty perfect to me.
It sounds pretty darn good to me as well. So I am actually in Florida, but I am heading to Arizona. And so just looking forward to catching up with the team there and cheering them on. They have a few fans. I believe they only have maybe 4,000 fans or so in attendance. So that will be nice to hear fans again. Haven't had that in a while, but to have fans in the stadium, even though just a little bit, like we talked about, does make a huge difference. It just creates a much more just, quote, normal atmosphere. So I'm looking forward to that.
You're going from warm weather in Florida to warm weather in Arizona, but I've got to say the Buffalo weather this week, it's been pretty nice in the 70s.
I know. I couldn't believe it. I was like, why am I leaving now? But but I have things to do here in Florida, have some other work to do. So just wanted to get that done so that I can enjoy all of December up in New York along with the snow.
Does that mean you really enjoy the snow in Buffalo?
I do.
Okay.
I know people are surprised. I do enjoy it. I always grew up on it. So I do miss it. So I may not miss it in March, but I definitely miss it in December.
Yep. If I was going to pick winter here, the snow is fine. I like the snow too. I grew up with snow being from Chicago, but winter can be over in March or earlier than that. Like, how about February is just like our cutoff point and we just get spring? Because the fact that winter lasts until like April here, not my favorite.
Yeah, I'll try to work on that.
Yeah, you tell your people, Kim. Get back to me. Thanks to everybody who listened to this week's podcast episode. Got a lot more cool guests coming up as we head into the bye week and beyond. It's Bills Pod Squad brought to you by the New York Lottery. Kim, thanks for being on with us again. Good to talk to Larry Fitzgerald. Really cool that you guys have a connection to where you're able to bring him on the podcast and just talk about life as an NFL player.
I know. You know what? I've really so much enjoyed doing these podcasts, just reconnecting with people, meeting new people, and of course, co-hosting it with you, Maddy.
Yeah, it's been fun. 10 episodes in, hopefully a lot more to go. So we'll catch you all
right.
next week.
All right. See you after the game.
Yeah, see ya.
Okay. See ya. Bye.